In this video, we're going to talk about dividing fractions, but I want to go back to the problem that we had at the beginning of the video about multiplying fractions, which was 1/2 times 8, which is the same as 8 times 1/2. They're both exactly the same thing. And in both of these cases, it's the same thing as 1/2 of 8, which is 4. So 1/2 times 8 equals 4. Okay, so a lot of people think, well, wow, that's weird. Why are we dividing to get 4 when, look, there's a multiplication sign here, right? There's the multiplication sign. We're multiplying by 1/2. 1/2 times 8 equals 4. But again, what that means is it's the same thing as 1/2 of 8. That's why we're getting 4. And 8 times 1/2 is also going to equal 4. And actually, I'm going to show you a couple of things about this. If I write this out, remember 8 is the same as 8 over 1, right? Anything over 1 is itself, times 1 over 2. If we use the rule that we learned before, where we multiply the numerator and denominator, we get 8 over 2. And then that's just 8 divided by 2, which means 4. Or we could reduce 8 over 2 by dividing by 2 over 2. We get 4 over 1, again, which is just 4. Okay. So hopefully you're convinced that 1/2 times 8 and 8 times 1/2 is 4. So now let's talk about division. Let's talk about 8 divided by 2. One way to think about that is how many 2's can fit into 8, right? So sometimes you say, how many times does 2 go into 8, right? Sometimes you've heard that phrase. So let's draw out 8. So here's a box with 1, 2, oops, let's undo that. So there's 8, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So just count, make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so if we divide 8, so if we divide 8 divided by 2 is 4, if we think about it as how many 2's can fit into 8, we can think of it as this way. So here's a 2, so we've got 1 2, and there's another 2. Okay, so we can fit 4 of these 2's into, so 2 goes into 8. Oh, sorry, let me count this again. So there's 1 2, that's 1 2 right there. There's another 2. There's another 2 right there. And there's another 2 right there. So we can fit 4 2's into 8. So let's think about 8 divided by 1/2 and just say it the same way. 8 divided by 1/2. Well, we're saying is how many halves can you fit into 8? Well, let's take the 8 again. Oops. So 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, how many halves can we fit in? Well, each one of these, that's a half. And then let me do a different color. That's another half. So we've already fit 2 in already. And if we keep going with that, I'm just going to kind of paste that in. So copy, paste. So there's, oops, I didn't want to do the whole thing. I'll just draw it in. So let's highlight orange and yellow again. So yellow, so there's my yellow stripes, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there's my orange stripes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in each one of these boxes, there are 8 boxes, I can fit 2 halves. So how many of these things are there? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I can fit 16 of halves into 8's. Sometimes it helps to think of them as how many, if you can fit an apple into one of the boxes, how many half apples can you fit? Well, if there are 8 boxes, I can fit 2 half apples in each box. That's 16 half boxes. So 8 divided by 1/2 is 16. Okay, so obviously we can't do that for everything. But if you remember what happened here, let me go back to 8 times 1/2. There was this relationship. We said that was the same as 8 divided by 2, which is the same as 8 divided by 2 over 1. If we think about this, 8 times 1/4, that's the same as 8 divided by 4, which is 8 divided by 4 over 1. So look at these things, 1/2, 2 over 1, 1/4, 4 over 1. Basically what's happening is we're turning 1/2 into 2 over 1, so 1/2 becomes 2 over 1, and I'm going from multiplication to division. If I went from division to multiplication, then 2 over 1 would turn into 1/2. 4 over 1 would turn into 1 over 4. What I'm doing is I'm reversing the numerator and denominator, which means I'm finding what's called the reciprocal. Okay. Just to be clear, reciprocal doesn't mean flipping the fraction. Reciprocal basically means you're taking whatever the number is and you're dividing 1 by it. So 1 divided by 2 equals 1/2. 1 divided by 4 equals 1/4, and that will work for everything. And so if I have a problem like 8 divided by, say, 3/4, so intuitively, if I'm dividing by 3/4, remember we divided by 1/2, there were more than 8 halves. So since 3/4 is less than 1, if we put 3/4 of an apple into a box, we can fit a little bit more apple. This number is going to be more than 8. And in fact, it's going to be 8 times, find the reciprocal, 4 over 3. So 8 over 1 times 4 over 3 equals 32 over 3. So you can leave it like that, or you can know that 32 over 3 is the same as 10 2/3. So 8 divided by 3/4 is 10 2/3. Or 32 over 3 is a perfectly good answer. And that's going to work with fractions too. So if we have something like 3/5 divided by 3/4, how many 3/4 are going to go into 3/5? We're going to take the 3/5, and this is going to become 3/5 times 4 over 3. And now we can just multiply. 3 times 4 is 12, 5 times 3 is 15, and of course we have to reduce, divide by 3 over 3, form of 1, and we get 4 over 5. So 3/4 of 3/5 is 4/5. Or sorry, 3/5 divided by 3/4 is 4/5. So that is the answer to that problem. So the general solution to division is you take the number you're dividing by, right? I'm dividing by 3/4, and I change that to a multiplication problem. I'm multiplying by 4/3. So the first number stays the same. Sometimes people say keep. This becomes multiplication, and the second number gets flipped. So let's do another example. How about 2/3 divided by 5/6? So I'm starting with 2/3, so it stays the same. Instead of dividing by 5/6, I can change that to multiplying by 6 over 5, right? 5 over 6 becomes 6 over 5, and that becomes 12 over 15. Oh, look at that, I get the same. Did I just do that? No. Oh, interesting, I got the same result. Divide both sides. No, I didn't. Divide both sides by 3, I get 4/5 again. Interesting that I got the same thing. That's just a coincidence. So just to summarize, this is sort of the rule, but if you think back to why the rule works, right, that we did a lot of talking, might want to watch this again, about how multiplication and division are related very closely, right? So we said that 8 times 1/2 was the same thing as 8 divided by 2. So I can turn a division problem into a multiplication problem, and I can turn a multiplication problem into a division problem. And since I have a technique already for multiplying fractions, my technique for dividing fractions is to turn the division problem into multiplication by changing the number I'm dividing by into its reciprocal, into its flipped version. So just to show you that 3/4 and 4/3 are reciprocals, I just want to show you this. So 3/4 and 4/3. Remember I said that the reciprocal meant 1 divided by that number, so 1 divided by 3/4. So 1 divided by 3/4 is 1 over 1 divided by 3 over 4, which is the same thing as 1 over 1 times 4 over 3, which is equal to 4/3. Okay, so that's a way to, that's where the reciprocal comes from. Basically, you're taking the fraction and changing the numerator to the denominator.